So this section is going to be more user experience plus like product design side of it. And for that one, I'll give you a little introduction to what that would mean. That's like how do you basically design the flows of an application, and we'll start by going into the details of like how we can do that on like AI tools. Today, we will be using v0.dev. This is by Vercel. Uh, right now, uh, Matt showed everyone that there's a next.js library. They're the same people who made v0. So anything you design on this basically gets the best front end principles applied to it already. And that is really helpful because you don't have to think about some of the basic patterns. For example, if we look into an example that's presented in one of the homepage, if you see, for example, a type box and you type something that's not accepted, you can get like an indicator and you can edit all of this stuff. So this is good to have to work on a Next.js library because that allows you to have all of those advanced things that you don't need to think about. But so the tool is called v0, and you can sign up for it. I'm already signed up, but I'm going to be using the free version of it for today's demo. And when you sign up, you'll get $5 in monthly credits, and that should be enough to get you started. And you'll have a sidebar with all your recent projects. And this should be like the main screen in which like you start typing over here. In fact, this is a community. A new screen would be like this. Into more details as to what v0 is and what it is capable of, I will recommend that you head over to the doc side of v0. Over here, you can get like some examples that are good to, some really cool examples actually that you can look into. And one thing that I really like about v0 is you can go into any of these examples, and of course, you can interact with them. But you can also open in v0, and this will basically open the project and the question, the prompts that were asked on it. So you'll get like a canvas on the right side, and on the left side, you'll get the chat history. I'll go into the detail of that in a bit. But that's really cool because you can look into all the different components and edit it if you want to do that. So that's v0. We will start building something over here soon. But before I go into any of this, think of designing now with an AI as a director. So you will know what problem you need to solve. And it's a good idea to understand that the only thing we are going to be doing is making the right decisions at the right time. And most of the design stuff will be done, and it's done using this design system library. It's called the chatcn.com library for the user interface. And it has a lot of examples of different components and cards that you can use and interactions that you don't even need to copy code from this anymore. If I ask v0, for example, to create a login screen, for example, if I quickly ask it, create a login screen using .cn library, to type in, it's going to think a little bit. There are different models. We're not going to go into the details of that, but it turns into this canvas in which on the left side, you can start your chat that you just question. And on this is going to be the main canvas screen. And as you can see, this is the example that they use on the library. And this is the exact thing that you get when you ask a question. This is a single prompt. I've not asked it anything. And it's pretty much following all the best principles, as I can see from like right now. So you got an intro to the library it's going to use, how to like think about design at this point a little bit. And if that's not enough, we will actually start by yes, Hillary, you have a question.
Yeah, so I am super new to this, so I'm definitely jumping ahead a little bit here. But what you showed with this, just like these black and white kind of like UI components right now, uh, like every time that you ask it to generate something, can you go back in and be like, generate, like give me a login screen, like that would be similar to the UI of like Instagram. Like, will it give you more personality if you do that?
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll
Okay.
get into that as well. How to like change it into a different UI for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's as simple as just once you get the flow right, you just ask it. For example, if you ask it right now, make this into an Instagram style design. Let's see what it does. But this also raises a good question at the moment because this is very different than this is like building visually, which is very different than building by code. Not very different, but like a little different, at least for me and more designer folks. So one of the things that lacks in this user in v0 or other AI kind of user interfaces, you can see over here, like it changes it a little bit, but like you can update it. Um, so there is very little that we can do over here going back and forth into these design changes because a lot of the changes that we've made, if you go to the top right profile, you can see that it uses credit for all of the designs. You can go into the detail by clicking into it. And just the past two prompts that we did, it's pretty small, 1 cent and 3 cent, but it really adds up if you're really working on like a little complex flow and it needs to change something, all that extra time it takes to think about a problem and where it goes to change it, it's gonna charge us as users. So one way that I have figured out that the best way to go around it is start designing on ChatGPT. And by designing, I mean like start thinking about the problem and how you want to solve that problem on ChatGPT rather than on v0. So now the flow stack's going to be that I'll be designing the user interface on v0. We will be making some fidelity of mockup on Figma. We will document all our stuff on Notion or wherever you want to document it. And then finally, we're going to use ChatGPT as our second brain, in which we're going to consult it to start a problem and try to solve it. And I'll show you why we need like documentation, because there's a nifty way to track changes uh, uh, into v0, but there still needs to be a more uh, there will be versions which work really well and there'll be versions which mess up. It's a good idea to have it saved in a document that you'll have, and also write down your comments why you made that decision, because on v0 you don't have any way to like track those decisions or add those comments at the moment. So let's start with a simple problem. You go on Figma. Figma is also free. You can open a design file. Figma could be a lesson on its own, but the simple thing is you create a frame that's going to be, I will choose a canvas from here. For example, desktop MacBook Pro 14. And we'll call this home. And then these are going to be the shapes. Rectangle is good enough, and there'll be like typography that you can type over here. So this could be like top navigation, and you can increase the size over here. So let's create like a simpler version of like a tool that we can let me give in fact like it's a good idea to start with a in fact like this could be the example. So yeah, let's go into building an application. I want to make something super simple, and I think having a simple version of a task management thing is pretty cool. So let's do a task list, and I can write over here list heading, and this could be a box right here. And the reason I'm thinking on a canvas first, rather than just coming over here and asking it to create an application, is because when you ask it to create an application, it will make those decisions that we were talking about in one of the discussions as well, that some of the elements that are created uh, that we won't understand the flow of things and how things are moving. So to have some control over that, it's good to have some place where that flow is defined. Now that could be Figma, but if a lot of folks don't understand Figma, it could also be like you can define it by yourself. But I can also use ChatGPT over here. For example, I can ask it to create um, a list a list management application, make it super simple, and use modern design language, create a PRD for this. So what ChatGPT would do is create this application that we are trying to make, and will like give us like a lot of the how to think about it, like what's the objective of it, who are the target users. We don't need this, but sure, why not? But this is the most important thing that is needed at the moment. The understanding what are the core features that we need to have in this application. And we will forget the nice to haves at this point. So one would be, for example, it says create a list, create this, that, check, delete, edit, items list, reorder, autosave, all very cool. And it's useful for an MVP. And the second thing that we want to make sure is it has a description of some sort of a UI or a front end language that you have. And another thing that's really helpful at this point is to create these user flows, which over here it's done really simple. Like you go to the home page, you have a create a new list button, you enter the list name, you add items to it, and then use list flow and delete list. And we can like of course like edit any of this if I don't like it, but just for the sake of it, I will say we can go forward with this. But before moving on over here, I would say rewrite this PRD as a simple prompt for v0. So it does understand what v0 is, and it will create a format in which v0 could understand. So this is enough for v0 to understand. But what I do like to add is you add user flows to it, because I've realized working with v0 or like other design AI tools is that it starts creating an interface that it thinks is good, but we have no control over understanding it because there's no documentation about it. So even if we have a user flow list like this, and we save this, for example, when we save this prompt, in Notion or whatever page we do, we understand that this is the flow it's going for, and wherever we identify that the flow can be improved or the interaction can be improved, we can do it without like losing track of anything. And so I'll paste that over here, and I'll let it run. Let's change the context of it, but that doesn't matter. What we're gonna look at now is how it solves this problem that we've sent its way, right? It says over here that it has thought about it for 12 seconds, and it gives you a little intro into I'll create Listly, a modern and minimal blah 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 blah, and all of that. Description starts like uh, showing some code over here. But if you click into the thought for 12 seconds, it will actually show over here that how V0 is thinking about the question that we've asked it. And it's really good to go through this because sometimes I will write something over here and it will not understand it, but we won't know what it's not understanding. So over here, we'll know exactly what it thought about the prompt and how it's using the different details. But because we went through the extra trouble of going to ChatGPT and actually writing down a simple version of a PRD, it will have something that we can use over here. So it's done. Listly organize your tasks beautifully. No list yet. No lists yet. Create your first list to start generating it, and you can assume click the new list and say over here the title is groceries. Create a list. Okay, we've got one list over here, and over here in the list item, we can create, for example, apples, oranges, um, bananas, nuts, milk. So, okay, I can add items. It has I can delete the list. It shows how many of them are completed. I can see the items over here. I can edit the list. That's great. I wanted that. I can check them, and it gives like a status bar over here as well. That's pretty cool. And I can also, I guess, rearrange it. Rearranging usually is more difficult to execute, like some of these interactions, but you get the idea. Like it created a list in a second over here, and then over here I can it's doing some great interactions over here. For example, showing a feedback of like, okay, you've got 50% over here, it's halfway, and I'm assuming it will show over here as well. That's pretty cool. But for example, I don't like the way the new list is over here, and there's a reason. There's like a user heuristic and usability reason for that. One is the button is too small, and the user might miss it. So there are two ways that we can edit it. If I know exactly how I want it to be changed, I can click the select arrow over here on the top right, and it allows me to select any element on the screen. It also allows me to view all the code because right now it's going to be on the preview mode. And on the top left, if you go to the code, it allows you to go and look at the code as well. The structure of the code that Matt touched upon in the first half is very, very important to consider, especially if you think about creating something that you want to scale or you want to use somewhere, because it will use its own convention, and sometimes it's not the best of it. I would not be an expert right now to say like how to design it, but I've definitely worked with senior designers and front-end engineers who ask ChatGPT or any other or Claude or whatever to also struct v0 to organize the file and have the structure in a particular order. And that helps with scaling as well, like when you're working on it later. But before going too deep into the code, the page always is the main page, the home page, and see like it says page.tsx, but it doesn't say home, so that's not a good convention. But over here, like if I'm redesigning the application, I'll ask it to call the home page, not just page. But what I'm more interested in demonstrating is how do you go from this first impression into another like how do you make it better? So we'll ask it that the button, the new list button is not um, user friendly. Can you place it on the top right and make the button large? Um, some of it would be conventional. I'm not like strictly talking in terms of front-end code, but some of it might be like top right navigation in the navigation in the navigation and make the button large. But to make it a little better for V0 to understand, you can also click this enhance prompt button. This I have not shown right now. So when you click this button, it uses its own reasoning model to basically update whatever you've written into a more agent or like AI friendly version, which I like is pretty good because we don't have to be an expert into understanding how agents work either. They'll just teach us how to do it. And I'm going to send this one off, and let's see if it makes a new list button easier to understand. Now over here, there's a limitation right now, and that is whatever you update on the system or the interface, for example, making the list and if you checked anything, it's not gonna save it. Oh, it does actually over here. But right now, like it does that exactly what I asked for. The new list button is easier to find, so you can like click over here, create another list, and so that's the first one way of doing things. But what if I want to change my application but not lose this progress? Over here, we're going to introduce something which is, of course, like a lot of the folks might already know, is forking this version. By forking this version, I can create another chat. And this chat basically allows me to make any edits on top of the version I created. For example, change the interface to a more professional. Just for a quick, because I want to create a visual that is drastically different, but the idea would be to test out what two different interactions of the same application might look like. And let's see if it gives us a very different version of it. But if it does, what we can do is on the left side, which I will introduce now, is going to be the navigation where a lot of like all your chats are going to be saved. And in your recent chat, this would be the fork of Simple List. Simple List app, and the previous one would be the original one, which would be Simple List app. So you can always like go back and check your original version. And meanwhile, the updated version is just going ham at it. It also shows the updated version of the code, but I think they keep changing the UI as well at the moment. So it used to just show the code and where it's updating. Right now, it doesn't do that. But it does show like which page it's on and the line it's making the edits. Maybe it just got stuck. There is no autosave. If it gets stuck, you will lose your credit. and it charges, and especially if you're paying $20 a month for this, it really hurts to do that. So a lot of these bigger issues. So it came across an error, and what I quickly did was it gives you a prompt that fixing allow fix error by v0, and I just click that, and it's just going to do that. And it'll identify where the error was by itself, and goes ahead and fix it. I guess it misclassified it didn't write the classification of uh, some properties. So this is a version of it. It's a little different. Uh, Almost the same interaction, but a little different, and it keeps creating its difficulties. So it's good to come across this because right now I'm not going according to a plan, right? So I'm just white coding. I'm just going by asking it what to do, and I'm also run out of I think the mid quota, so I'm going to be using the small version of it. I think it's completely broken at this point. Like it's not going to, it can't figure out what's going on, which is good because we forked it and we have the version we have the original version, so we didn't lose anything. But before it broke down, we also have that version, and v0 allows you to restore to a previous version. So over here, I remember the version 2 was the one which showed me at least the homepage. So I can come over here and restore it. And I guess version 1. Yeah. So version 1 is the original version, and we've not made any changes to it. Now, before we move into like any other design changes, what I would like to do is, of course, you want to share it with, whoever. Uh, so there's a way of doing that as well. You can press share over here, and if you have an account, you can I think you don't. Yeah, if you have an account, you can share a private one, and you can just copy the link. And when you paste the link, you get the whole chat of the thing you design with the interface. And it's good to share this with your teammates or whoever who you're working with, so they can make their own edits. But if you're sharing it with someone and you don't want them to make the edits, what I find useful is you can open this in full screen from here. No, in fact, open this in a new tab. And when you create a new tab, it basically gives you a URL that can be used as like this could be used as a standalone application. So whenever you enter the address, you don't go through the v0 interface, and you can just share the application, and it works. Just how it'll work um, on the main application. And the thing is, if I ask it to, let's not ask it. Over here, I can introduce a simple thing, which is they've made this later on, which is a design. So over here is the chat interface, and then there's a design mode. And what the design mode does is basically you start with this cursor in which you can select an element. I'll select this top right button, and select cannot be edited. Hmm. This can, but this cannot be. All right. Mm. For some reason, this is not a button right now. That is a problem. So we will ask it to first. I'm suspecting that this is not a button component, so I'm asking it to convert it into a button. Also want to check if in the original version, if this is no, it's still not an editable element. Oh, interesting. So these kind of challenges they arise. It's a small one. What I'm trying to do is basically change the color of this button, and I wanted to show that I can do that by not wasting credit. So I asked it to change that whatever dialog box it created into a button, and buttons are elements that you can edit. So it changed that. Now I can go into the design file, select the button, and change the background color to another one, to an orange color. And I'm suspecting if I update this, no. So I will need to create a. So this is the drawback of sharing the link with someone instead of like sharing a live file. If I share a live file, it will update for the person who has it directly. But if they don't have it, then they will need to. And if you didn't share it from the share button and you shared the full screen of it, then you'll need to like share it again. But over here, I think I haven't saved it. There must be a way to save it right here. And update. Yeah, there you go. So that's how you track your changes. You can make changes on your component over here, and it changes when you update it and you share it with someone. And this is I'm basically coming to an end for this specific version of this specific tutorial. Before I end it, I wanted to share one more thing, and that's there's a lot of different tools that you can use, and they give more or less the same, but also like different results. And some of them have a better understanding of what a user interface would look like, and some of them are better at like just designing. So if you're making a complex application, you might not be focusing on the visuals of it, but rather that the interface is understandable and easy to follow. So you'll be working a lot of the time in wireframes or like very low fidelity interaction, but make sure that all the interactions are connected to each other. For that one, I feel v0 and Replit works better. It's a little more complicated. But if we take the same prompt that we use for v0, and here's Lovable, another super popular front-end coding tool right now. I might need to log in. So I'll share the prompt with Lovable, and I will also share the prompt with Base44. Base44 is another one of the same. At this point, they start looking like clones because you see they all do the same thing. There's going to be a chat on the left side and a canvas on the right side, and a way to switch between canvas and code. That's the main interface, and it's good to go through similar user interfaces, so we don't need to learn anything new. And also, if you're using Figma, there's something called Figma Make as well. And as you can see, no surprise, it's the same user interface. So while it's doing this, I wanted to show something on V0, and that is if you go to your settings options, you can see there's a lot of it, but the main thing that I want to show is integrations. And when you press integrations, you can see that whatever you make in this is pretty much usable. You can pretty much publish it as an application because for backend, it can connect to Supabase. It can also have AI functionality. So if you're prototyping AI tools, you can paste in Grok right from here. But also you can create environments in which you can just paste the API key. You can label it something and then paste the API key from ChatGPT, which is very simple, easy to do. And I can go through that as well if someone's interested. But when you connect it to an integration, a lot of the interactions that you make will be testable. So if I'm testing how I upload a document and it analyzes it and gives me certain feedback, like an analysis of it, if I connect ChatGPT to it, it will actually do the analysis rather than just give me a mock-up of like the data or for example, in this one, if I connect the Supabase, it can start recording my list rather than every time I make an update or refresh it. Because right now, if I refresh it, it will start from scratch. It has no memory of whatever I'm working on this application. So that is very interesting. And another interesting feature, which Hillary was asking about, is if you want to, for example, this is one way of visualizing this. If you want to take inspiration, for example, I like the interlinear website very much. I don't know if you guys have used this, but this is a pretty cool app. It uses a really nice design language and very smooth graphics and visuals. And I want my interface to look like this. So I can simply ask it over here, make this application feel more like linear. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is I can take a screenshot or whatever I'm using and use those screenshots to basically, if I check out the product and I like something they do, let's see if they shared cool image. Mm, we don't have it at I can't seem to find an image, but let's say Intercom is another website that I really enjoy. So if I like this and I'm like, okay, some of the elements on this website just work for me and I can uh, take a snapshot of it and and take that snapshot and just no, can't paste it over here. But basically like paste images and it uses that as inspiration. You can also add your Figma files to it, but it needs a premium subscription. But I can go to my screenshots. This is the one. Make the UI look and feel like the snapshot. And here's like a little guardrail. For example, don't change anything else. keep the current application as keep the current application. What it would do is if you don't give it some guardrail, for example, like don't change anything else and keep the application as it is, it would assume that what you're pasting is the screen that you want with the content on it, rather than just the aesthetics of it. So in that way, it'll look at it and it has a really good understanding of of how to read these images. So it does a really good job at that. Let's move back into like the applications that we've created through Lovable and Base 44. So this is the Lovable version of it. I realize Lovable is more colorful, uh, and you don't have to like uh, tell it to add colors or create a list because it does that. We can see like some animations are different, but it's a good way to like, get a couple of ideas going on. And I'm assuming it's going to do the same thing when I do this, go back. It's got it's also like a little bouncy. But one thing it does really good is that some of the interactions require, for example, if I delete this, it's a good idea to prompt the user to with a modal like this because you don't want them to take those actions, and it does that really well. It does that exact same thing that I was telling you guys that it converted that website into this and also has the interface. So I think my guardrail wasn't strong enough. Um, the good thing is that you can also like just restore the version. But this is the lovable version of it. And then let's look at the base 44. Um, it's also responsive. That's cool. Base 44 went ahead and prepared some of examples, but the overall, it looks more polished, and I'm assuming it can also have some searchability, which is very cool. Yeah. So it added a couple of features. This is very similar interaction to the other ones. And Apple's, yeah, you get the idea. So they have similar interaction, and the similarity comes from because we created the PRD on ChatGPT, so we have more control over how we're presenting the design and what interactions are we expected of, rather than just giving the idea like create a list application for me, and then every time you paste it to a different file, it'll give you a different result. Um, I do like Base 44 and Lovable for the aesthetics, but the reason I stick with V0 is because a lot of the design is making sure that you have the right amount of features and the right usability and the flows in place. And the more you remove aesthetics, the more you realize that the core flow, if it's good, you can add those aesthetics later on. And a good thing that I do usually is take screenshots of these applications and keep saving them on my Notion file as well, or my Figma or whatever. Like I make sure that is a good track of things. For example, one thing I do is I'd write, for example, uh, concept one, and over here I'll write V0, lovable, and base 44. For the V0, I will paste the V0 link over here. Lovable link for lovable. And base 44 for base 44. And then have like, a couple of columns over here, and and to create one more table, and you gotta let me move it. No, like this. Okay. to link, and I can write Sayed's comments and Matt's comments, and then like you can take some feedback on the different design choices and keep track of it that way. That helps a lot. So that is it um, for the demo for today. That's I hope that's not like a lot to take in, and I did justice to explaining the tools and everything. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. And yeah, go ahead, Karthik.
Hey, Sai. Thanks for a great presentation. So I wanted to ask about how do you manage customer feedback from a design perspective? You have all these prototypes, I must say, that you quickly send out to your customers, and then like you get feedback. Do you immediately go back into thinking from a design perspective, from the designer perspective, and then make manual edits, or do you go back and go back to these tools and then try to prompt them to come up with a design that matches the customer expectations?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think I'll start this answer with I would refrain from using these prototyping front-end tools to make anything seem like it's production level.
Mhm.
Even though you can create apps from it and code it, because it's just the nature that once the design's done, a lot of the times I would just share this with the engineer and they will take a screenshot of it, put it on Cursor, and then recreate it as well. That's a workflow that have been done in one of the projects I've worked on actually.
Got it.
So I will not use these to test with user or I will share them internally. I'll share them with clients or stakeholders that you're working with who have like some buy-in into decision making.
Right.
But the way I'll use user feedback is I will keep it async. And once a design is finalized, or like a concept is finalized rather, because these are not designs, these are concepts. So I
Mhm.
will take it to Figma or wherever my official single truth of design file is and make the updates over there. And those will be then either developed and then tested, or I'll user test them as prototypes. It doesn't help. It helps to have these concepts ready to share at a high level, but it does not help to use them as designs that could be, that's the opinion that I have at the moment.
Understood. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ed. And yeah, I think you touched upon another thing that I had in mind, where you mentioned like you take some of these and then or your Figma documents and then like feed it to Cursor. So
Yeah.
the work that Matt did in the first
Yeah.
half of the if you already had that, or you know, if it is the other way around, you did the front end work and then like now Matt has to work the back end. How do you do
Mm.
that using these
Well,
tools?
I'll talk a little bit about that. There is a
Yeah.
general collaboration and handoff between a designer and
Mm.
a developer. The more you have going, the better the developer's world is going to be. Generally, if you give me, traditionally, historically, it was like you get a PDF, like you just recreate the PDF. I'm going in there coding. Now we're skipping ahead to he might have some starting CSS assets. Now, a
Mhm.
lot of the assets that Syed did was they're all web-based, right? Meaning that it's kind of framework agnostic. It works in Python, it works in PHP, but I have to kind of get it into the format for my stack. So he's proposing a template. I will pretty much
Mm.
drop in those files as HTML files, basically, and then start to codify them to make them dynamic, generally swapping the functional parts from whatever it thinks should be functional to the stuff I need to do. But I'm really up in speed running very quickly because I have something that looks like the final page almost instantly, and I just need to go in and make it a little bit more dynamic and kind of massage it into my production web app.
Understood. Thank you.
Do we have any further questions?
I must say this awesome presentation. Thank you both.